Welcome to this blissfully short course on understanding sensitive data. The first thing we'll do is review what we've already learned. In the Handling Data Safely course, we learned that UB has both public and non-public data. When considering non-public data, we also learn that there are two categories: regulated private data and sensitive data. In the Regulated Private Data course, we learned that that category contains some fairly easy to recognize items, such as Social Security numbers, driver's license numbers, debit and credit card numbers, protected health information, and username password combinations. The topic of this course is the sensitive data category, which we'll shortly learn is not so easily defined. There's a law that requires that public entities, such as UB, make their data available to the public. However, this law, known as the Freedom of Information Law, grants some exemptions. In other words, although we are a public institution, not all of our data is public. Unfortunately, the law doesn't simply list what's public and what is not. It gives some guidelines, but ultimately leaves it up to us to decide. For example, the following types of data would not be considered to be public: data that would constitute an unwarranted invasion of privacy. While the law gives some examples, it also says that the list it gives isn't exhaustive. So it's basically leaving it up to UB to decide if something is unwarranted or not. Data that would present a threat to life or safety if we released it. This is another case where there's some guidance given by the state. For example, we're not to make building floor plans available publicly. But in other cases, we need to exercise judgment before releasing data that might fit this category. Sometimes people might request a bulk copy of directory information. It's hard to judge intent, but if their intent is to use it for marketing, sales, or soliciting purposes, then we aren't required to give them the information. Again, this is subjective since it's hard to guess what they intend to do with the data. It's possible, although generally rare, for any of us at UB to receive a FOIA request. These requests have a very specific written format and generally state that they are requesting records under the New York Freedom of Information Law. If you ever receive one of these requests, you should not attempt to fulfill the request yourself, but should instead forward it immediately to UB's designated FOIA request processor. Understanding exactly what falls into the sensitive data category isn't something that each of us should be expected to know. Instead, we can rely on a few experts at UB to help us handle these requests. The person to contact at UB is listed by clicking the FOIA Requests link on the left-hand side of this UB Learns course. In many instances, we won't receive a formal request for information. Someone may call you on the phone or send you email asking for something. In those cases, you should rely on your judgment. If the request feels strange or odd or makes you suspicious, you should simply say no or ask your supervisor if it's okay to release the information. If you say no, the person asking for the information still has the option of filing a formal FOIA request. Their request will then be reviewed and given expert consideration before being approved or denied. That way you aren't caught in the middle. If you have any questions regarding this material, please contact the Information Security Office at sec-office@buffalo.edu. Thank you for taking this course.